Okay, folks. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be on unit 2.2. I did get a new program, so this should work a little bit better here. It actually has some features that are pretty nice. So we should be good to go with a lot of this stuff. Again, though, I am still kind of experimenting with it, so bear with me. Let me sure my mic's working. Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So we are now at bar graphs. Now we had done broken line graphs before. Now we are doing bar graphs. So with these things here, right. Okay. So with a bar graph here, it's a little bit different. Big thing here is we use this to plot something that we call discrete data using rectangular bars. I'll show you what a couple of those look like here in just a second. But again, so you are plotting a bunch of data here. And specifically discrete data is like just real numbers. It's like it represents something. There's a counted number of them. So discrete data here is made up of distinct values where intermediate values are not possible. Um, so like again, 5 here is a discrete data. 5.5 might not be. Um, so if I ask how many people did this thing, you can't say 5.5. So here's an example. It's the number of students in the class. It has to be a whole number. You can't have half of a person. So what can these look like here? This is an example here of a typical bar graph. And as you can see, it can be vertical where it goes up, or it can be horizontal where it goes to the right. And on one of the axes, you can see there are categories. On the other axis, you can see there are numbers. Another one, again, you can have it as it's vertical. And as you can see here, just like in our previous one, each line, this isn't 1, 2, 3, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You can do that. You can adjust stuff. You can also have multiple in the exact same one. We call this a grouped graph. We'll get to that a little bit later. And here's another example. There's a bunch of different kinds. You can have a stacked one, you can have a grouped one, you can have horizontal or vertical. So there's a bunch. So this is all the same kind of data here, just kind of stacked up on top of each other. Here we go. So just as before, we have like a steps for drawing the graph, right? We just like before, we got to set the scale, label the axes, give it a title. Just like with broken line graphs, we're still going to do a scale and starting point. And those can affect how the graph is interpreted. So again, you just have to be careful with that. Make sure it's not being misleading. Good graph still uses up all the most of the space. And yeah, it's just like every other graph we've kind of done here, with one minor difference, which we'll get to in a bit. So let's do an example here. Now, for you guys, you shouldn't have a thing here, which is fine. You can use the graph paper I've given you if you want. Not necessary, though. So let's start out here with, before I even read the question, I know I'm going to have to do a graph. I'm just going to do this really quick. I'm just going to give myself a line here to start out with. So this is what you can do. You just draw yourself a nice little line here and work it out from there. It's okay if it's not perfect. I recommend you use a ruler specifically for this point. Okay, so in 2001, Canadian census data displayed the following approximate populations of various cities to the nearest thousand. So Vancouver is 1,987. So that's 1,987 times 1,000. That is 1.9 million people, almost 2 million people. Calgary, 951,000 people, and so on and so forth. So this is our data here. So we want to display this data onto a bar graph. So just like before, I got to do things how I always have, right? I know that I have to, I label my axes. These are my X's. These are my Y's. I have to figure out which one of these is going to be where. Now, the most common type of graph we would usually use would be a vertical one. It depends on the instance, but most of the graphs you're going to do are going to be vertical. So if that's the case, I need categories on the x-axis, which means the numbers is on the y-axis, right? So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these. So I'm just going to do a quick like branch here. So we'll just say, actually, before I even go into that, we'll deal with that in just a little bit here. I'm actually gonna write those down now. So text. So I'm gonna make this a little smaller. I don't know if you can hear my cat out there. So we're gonna have Vancouver. I'm just kind of spacing these out a little bit all throughout here. Oh, no, 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 no. So we're gonna have Vancouver. We're gonna have Calgary. I'm just putting, Cal, which is fine. Gonna have Victoria. Gonna have Edmonton. Gonna have Saskatoon. Gonna have Winnipeg. Gonna have Regina. Now, you're probably looking at this and be like, that's too small. I haven't even used up half of the graph. So let's space them out a little bit here. Right? Use up most of your space. It's totally fine. So now I've spaced these out a little bit more. So now I need to figure out, so I have my scale, my x's. These ones just space it out an equal amount of distance, at least as close as you can. If you actually had lines here, you could count it out. And I'll show you what this looks like in a second. So next thing here is I'm going to scale my y-axis. Now I need to go up to about 2,000 here, right? So let's think about what number I could use here that goes up to about 2,000. I'm going to maybe go up by I'm going to say like 200s here. I feel like that might make it a little bit nicer. So I'm just going to go up by like 200s. And again, I'm eyeballing this at this point. I'm trying to go up about an equal amount of space. If you had an official graph, then you could go up the exact same amount. This is too close. Let's move this about right here. Again, we're just doing the best we can. This looks like about 800. Here's about 1,000. And I know I'm at the right spot here because, I have, gone about 1,000 halfway up. I'm halfway up my graph. So that's about the right scale here. So you have to plan it out a bit in advance. Like let's say you got to the top here. It's like, I'm at 1,400 and there's no more space left. And we're kind of getting to that point. And 1,600, 1,800. Again, we want to try and have an equal space, equal scale. I'm just going to extend this out a little bit here then. It's okay to do that. Again, you're just freeballing it. Or you're just kind of eyeballing it in this case. So now I've done this. So again, I set the scale, label the axes, going to give the graph a title. This is a population of Canadian cities. Perfect. Okay. So let's start and draw this. So what I'm going to do here, and just to give you actually an example here, I'm going to let's imagine it looked something like you're doing this on like an actual graph. You don't have to actually do this, but I'm just going to, try and make marks at around the same distance every time, just in case you were using the graph paper, what that looks like. Because this is going to be very important to what a bar graph actually is going to look like. So again, these are just about the same distance here, doing my best. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretty simply just start graphing this stuff. So the first thing I know is I need to go up to Vancouver, which is about 2,000, right? So that's about right here. So what I do is I'm going to say Vancouver is going to take these two. So I'm going to go all the way up until about 2,000. So about right just below that, right? I'm going to draw a line there. I'm going to connect this. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to, let's use blue here for our color of everything. I'm just going to shade it all in here, right? As best I can. Now, for you guys, you don't have to do like a solid color. I'll show you what you could look like, you don't have to do a solid color, but I do recommend doing something just to kind of fill in a little bit. Okay, so I've done that. Let's go back to our next one. So one thing to note with bar graphs, and this is very important because it's going to distinguish from something different. Bar graphs do not touch. Every graph here has a space between these. Now, this it's a little bit different for these stacked and grouped ones, but the grade ones are not touching the grade twos, not touching the grade threes. If you're just zooming in on that, the green's not touching the blues, not touching the red. There is a gap between everything. Okay? So I want you to actually go up a page and I want you to write that in. And I want you to write it really big. Bar graphs do not touch. Very important. You're going to be doing something very similar later in the course. And that's one of the primary differences is whether the bars touch or do not touch. So write that in. Okay. So next thing here is how I'm going to leave a space here. So I'm leaving this space. I'm going to do my Calgary. And in fact, I'm going to leave two spaces because why not? I can. Doesn't matter. It would not matter. So Calgary goes up to about 951, right? So that's about right there. So I'm going to do that. So 951, that's about right here, right? Not perfect. Same thing, make it the same width. My Vancouver one was two of them, so I'm going to use two of them. So let's say, for example, you don't want to fill this out. That takes time. You can just do something like this. They should be the same color. I apologize, they weren't. So something like that's a nice, easy way to give it substance. It doesn't take a lot of time. A couple lines through it, totally fine. And I'm just going to do that for the same one. So try and do these for all the other ones yourselves here. So 3, 2, 1. So Victoria, same thing. I'm going to space it out 2 here. Actually, I messed up. I should have put this one over here, but that's fine. So Victoria goes up to 312. I'm actually going to skip this. I'm going to actually only go up to, I'm only going to go one tile of gap. So I apologize. This should be moved over. But again, you make mistakes. It's fine. This is why you should have an eraser. We're freeballing it. I wouldn't really dock marks if you just did this once. That's totally fine. Next is Edmonton, 938. So I'll adjust my text in a bit. 938 that looks about right. Same thing. Nice, easy way to add some substance here. Next is Saskatoon, which had 197,000. This is old data. Now it's like almost 500. So 197. So that's about like right here in this case. Next we have Winnipeg, 671. But right here, this one, again, you would have a ruler. I don't in this case, so just be wary of that. That's not right. So 671, which is about right here. And next is Regina, which is about 193. So about right here again. Again, you just estimate it. It's totally fine. Now I'm just going to space these out a little bit better. My names here because I messed up a little bit. So I'm putting, if you're noticing here, I'm making sure that the words go under the correct section. Very, very important because you need to know which one's which. And so this would be an example here of a broken line graph. Now, if I were to give you something like this one here wouldn't be correct because they are touching. They're touching here. So I like using that one as an example about what not to do. Okay. So now let's try doing this on both a horizontal and a vertical graph, right? So you have to be a little bit space conscious here. So I'm going to start on the left side. I'm going to do a horizontal on the left side. And on the right side, I'm going to do a vertical. All right, so let's start with this. Make this black, a little bit thicker lines. Ooh, sure. And sure, something like that. And then same thing over here. And if you're using loose leaf for this, that's totally fine too. You don't have to do it like this. Again, every graph's going to be a little bit different. Totally fine with that. So same thing. Think about your steps. What do you do? First thing you do is we got to label your axes. Let's do the horizontal first. This is the left side. So what do I do with this? Which ones? If I'm doing horizontal, my categories go on the x-axis, on the bottom, right? Which means my other stuff goes on the y-axis. So my population, the numbers would go y. Because I want, oh, sorry, this is horizontal, my bad. Again, everyone makes mistakes here. The year would go on the y, and then this would go on the x, right? And you'll have this image on the to refer to on the main page as well. So horizontal. Just like before, I'm going to do it how I normally do. The only difference is the years are going to be on the y-axis. So I need to think about the scale for the x-axis. So my biggest number here looks like it's about 34. Let's say 35, right? What's a nice easy numbers I can go up by? I could go up by tens. I could go up by fours. I'm going to go up by fives. So I'm going to say here that this one's 5. This one's 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Okay. So now I need to do my y-axis, which is my years. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories, right? So think, that means I know that, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, my spacing there does work, right? You see, I just did like a shadow thing, like trying to space it out properly. So I'm going to say this one here is, we'll say it's 1980 here. Let's say this one's 1985. About right there. We'll say this one's 1990. And again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. These look about the right space, right? We'll say this one here is 1995. This one here is 2000. And this one here is 2005. And I've used up most of my space, right? Most of it, these gaps look about right. So we're good to go. If it isn't obvious by now, you should be using pencil. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my squares, right? So think about it. In 1980, population of Moose Jaw was 33.5 thousand. So I'm going to go to 33.5, which is about right here. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to 1985, leave a space. And I know I need to go to 34.3, which is about right here. Now you might be catching a little bit of an issue with this graph, which we'll talk about in a second. Next one here, 33.4. About right here. Then 1995 was 32.8, so we can see it's going down a little bit. About right here. Then 2000 was 32. And then 2005 was also 32. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Make this red, sure, why not? Make it bigger. Just like before, I have my, I can fill it in. You could use a highlighter. Those are great. Markers. You could just do your lines. I'm doing this because I'm on a PC, so it makes it a little bit easier. So this graph looks about right. Now, you could make it better. We could have zoomed in a little bit, right? we could have just done like the only difference here, we're only looking at like a difference of like 2,300 people. We could have just zoomed straight into like started with 30,000 and here's 31, here's 32, here's 33. We'd see bigger gaps then. So this is a correct graph, but there's better ways to do it. So let's do the vertical graph and we're going to do it that same way. We're going to use that little squiggly here. Looks like a Z to zoom in. For example, if you guys did your practice questions on question 11, this is up above page 18, you can see this little squiggly. It just starts at 19.5. There's another example here in our actual examples. Here we go. Question 5 on page 7, we just immediately zoomed into 500. So we're going to do that here. Now, you could go straight to 32 if you want. I'm going to go straight to 30 personally. So I'm going to do a little squiggly, blah, 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 blah. I know that this is now my Y. It's a vertical graph. This is now my X. So I'm going to do my little squiggly here. And now I'm going to start here at 30. And I'm going to say I'm going to go up to 31 to 32 to 33 to 34 to 35. And so same thing, I need 6 categories here. So I'm going to go put that in here. Now, this will be a lot of stuff to be able to, to write. So I'm just going to write 80, 19, 80. Then 85, then 90, then 95. Now you're perceiving the issue that I'm doing the same thing I did last time, right? So if I know I have 6, why don't I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Why don't I, do that little phantom thing with my pen before I start writing? And then I know that, oh, I need to space it out more. So if you're a really visual person, that's a nice strategy to be able to do. Okay, so now I have my graph, my stuff. I've used up most of my scale. So now, just like before, I'm going to do my bar graph. So now at 1980, it was 33.5, which is about right here. Same thing, I have a space. 85 was 34.3. So that's about right here. A little bit shorter. 1990 was 33.4. 1995 was 32.8. 2000 was 32 on the dot, as was 2005. So now all of a sudden, do you notice how the data is a lot more clear in terms of what is actually happening here? And same thing before, you can, oh, no, that's not what I want to do. Same thing as before, I can go here and do my lines. Just, this is just a minor thing. Doesn't mean a lot. It's just giving it some substance. But yeah, so there's vertical and there's horizontal here. So which of these graphs do you think is a better representation of the data? Now, obviously, you're going to go with the vertical one because we've done that zoomed in thing. But let's imagine we had done that for the other one as well. So let's imagine the horizontal graph, we also did our little zoom in. So if that's the case, vertical is still better. Why? Well, it's showing the rise or fall of population, right? So it makes sense to make it vertical in this case. So what's the trend here? What's happening to the population of Moose Jaw? The population is declining over time. Now, question D, we're going to draw a broken line graph of it. That's the stuff that we did yesterday, so good refresher of it. But the key thing we're looking for here is which one of these? Is it the vertical bar graph or the broken line graph that is better? So just like before, oh, how do I do a broken line graph again? Well, I need to figure out my scale. And I also need to figure out which one's up, which one's down. Now, time is usually our x-axis, so we're going to do that same thing. So we're going to say time is our x, and then this is our y. Now for our vertical one, we did the squiggly one here. We're going to do the squiggly one here as well. We're going to start at 30 again. So I'm going to go with, here's 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. I'm going to copy this, bring this down here. Nope, not going to let me. No, they're not. Okay. I'll just type it in down here. So it's just like before. It's the 80s. It's, here we go. This is a bit bigger for you guys. '80, '85, '90, '95, 2000, 2005. So broken line graph, if you remember, is where I just take dots. Right? Broken line graph. Dot, 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 connect the dots. So I'm just going to plot my points now. So in 19, oh, sorry, I got to label this first. So this was 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. And same thing, we'll make this one blue. So, and 1880, it was 33.5. So go to 1880, go to 33.5. In 85, it was 34.3. In 1990, it fell down to just 33.4. In 95, it went down to exactly 32.8. So 33. And then the next two, it was exactly at 32. Right? And then you just connect the dots from left to right. Now, which of these two graphs do you think is better? The vertical one or this one? In this case, it's probably the broken line graph. And why? Because you can see, oops. Sorry, you can better see, or if you want to use more proper English, it's better represented that the population is fallen. The trend is more obvious, right? Now we already did question E. So the graph, so again, broken line graph the data, so the graph is slightly misleading. This looks a lot more dramatic, our vertical one here, than our horizontal, right? Because we zoomed in a bit. I just wanted to save some time. So we've done this already. We've done this already. Don't have to worry about it. Oh, that's where these went. Okay, so question 3. So being able to draw, it's important, but being able to read it as well. Now, which graph is this one again? This is a multi or multiple bar graph. It's a vertical multiple bar graph. Now, on your image, this would be a grouped bar graph. Either's fine. I don't care what. I don't. Now, one thing I do want to note, though, is if we have more than two things, what can you see here? You can see that we have a legend. You need to have a legend if you have more than one option, right? It shows this color is for this thing. So very important to be able to do that. So this is about real estate. Sorry, this is about Red Deer. The graph compares the average house price of new homes and of resale, which are not new family homes. So the black one here are the resale. These are used homes. The gray ones here are brand new homes. We just built them. Now, for the most part, what do we see here? The new homes are more expensive and house prices are rising over time. So we have to be able to read it. So in question A here, what's the average price of a new single family home in 2005? And I want you to look at it. Look at it. I'm going to go over the answer here in 3 seconds. Okay, 2005. It's a new home, so it's gray. That is 240. So 240, not dollars, 240 thousands of dollars, right? How do I know it's thousands? Look at the Y scale. It literally tells you. Between what years was there a drop in the price of resale single family homes? When did houses go down of resales? When did the black bar go down? In 2008 and 9. So from 2007 to 2009, sorry, 2008 to 2009, the prices dropped of resale homes. And then question D here is what's the general trend? So which costs more or less? Usually, there are a couple of, we call them outliers, but usually new homes are more expensive than used homes, right? That's not outlandish to really think about, and that's what the data here shows us. In which years was this not true? Again, so when did resale homes become more expensive? 2006 and 2007. Except in 2006 and 2007. And if we want to look at what's a general trend in general, overall, the price of houses is increasing. So this here is an example of a grouped one. So now we're going to go into a stacked one here. I think this is the last one. Yes. So now we're going to go into a stacked bar graph. What's a stacked bar graph, Matthew? This one here. You can see how we've taken the green, blue, and red from grade 1 and we just piled it on top of each other. So we're going to do that. So we're going to use the data from question 3, this data, to make a stacked bar graph. So I'm just going to quickly draw in my axes. I have lots of space, so sure, why not? Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, so let's think about this. Look at our data here. What's going to be X value? What's going to be Y value? Well, usually a vertical graph, so we want our numbers to be on the Y-axis. So my numbers need to go on the Y-axis, right? So here's Y, here's X. I'm saying that this is going to be the year here, and then this is going to be the price in thousands of dollars over here. Okay, so I'm good to go. Not quite. So let's think about this now. So now I've done that. What's my scale? How high do my numbers have to go? Well, the highest number here is 395. So obviously, it should be, we should say maybe this one up here is 400. No. Remember, in a stacked graph, I've added these. I've added these up. So if I'm adding to, let's say 2009 up, if I'm adding this up, well, this is 395 plus 200 or plus 300. Right? So this is 395 plus 330. Oh, I need actually 725. Let's just make sure that is actually the highest though. So I need to go at least a 725. What about this 350 plus 378? Oh, 728. What about this 355 plus 333? Okay, so 728 is my highest number I got to go up to. Um, so I got to make sure I'm at least at 725 up here. What's an easy number that I could go up by? This one went up by hundreds. Let's go up by hundreds, right? So I know I need to get up to, let's say about 800,000 up here. So let's just go ahead and say that this one here is 800. That means about halfway here should be about 400, right? So I'm going to say this one here is 400. So there's a couple ways you can do this, which means this one here is 600, which means this one here is 200. And you could leave it like that. I could put in 100,000, 300,000, 500,000, 700,000. Now, you don't have to write it in if you don't want to. Entirely up to you. So there's different numbers you can go up by. I'm going to go up by 200s at a time because sure, why not? Okay, so now let's look here. So first thing is I'm going to do 2002. So, oh, sorry, before that actually. Uh, Here, let's draw some lines here. So I know I need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 years. I need spaces in between. So sure. And I'm just doing a general spacing out here. Let's make sure I got enough. So I have 7. I need at least 14, right? Because I have 7 years and I need a space in between all of them. So how many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I have 19. I need at least 14. That'll work. So I'm going to say that this one here is, we're going to say is 02 space. This one here is 03 space. This one here is 04 space. This one here is 05 space. This one here is 06 space. This one here is 07 space. This one here is 08 space. This one here is 09. I've used up most of my space. That's fine, right? These over here, they don't matter anymore. All right. So now let's think about it. So am I ready to start writing? No. I'm missing my legend. I'm missing my legend, right? Of my resale homes and of my new homes. Go do this. Now, here, do this, and we'll do this. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. An easy one might be you're going to make this one red. Red is resale. And then new is blue. So if you have multiple colors, that's an easy way to distinguish stuff. What if I only have one color, though? Well, a couple ways you can do it then. How'd they do it up here? They could do different shades, so maybe different levels of hardness, or you could, maybe I'm going to make this one lines, and I'm going to need this one dots, or I could make this one go the other way, or I could just make this one solid, right? Shade this one in and make this one go one way. So there's different ways you can do it. I don't care how you distinguish it. You just need to distinguish it, okay? So do a different pattern, do a solid color, do different colors, do anything, distinguish it though. So I have a legend, check. So now I can start plotting stuff. So I don't add these two numbers up yet. I am, however, going to go to, okay, 172. I'm going to put my resale homes at the bottom. So I'm going to go to 172. So this is about 150. This is 100. This is 150. This is about right here. And I'm going to go with, I'm going to make these red is what I'm going to do, actually. I'll fill that in a bit. Okay. So I've gotten up to 172, but I need to add 175 on top of that, right? So 172 plus 175, backspace, is 247. So now I need to go up to 347, which is about right here. And this is the total amount it goes up. And I'm going to use red and blue here. So I've said my new homes are blue. Oh, that's this stuff here. You know, imagine I'm shading it better than I am. And then I've gone and said that my other ones are red. My resale ones here are red based on my legend up there. So you literally add them on top of each other. So try this for the other ones. I'll speak about 2003, but then I'll just go straight to the answer here afterwards. So 2003, same thing. I'm going to start here with my resales. I go up to 175. So 100, here's 150, here's 175, right smack in the middle. Wait, did I goof up? I did goof up, guys. I made a mistake. Anyone catch what it was? So I need to go up to 172 here. I went up way too high. I need to be up about right there. Here's 150, yeah, sure, about right here. And then I needed to go up to, what did I say, 347. Yeah, sure, about right there. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Again, that's why you do it in pencil. So now I need to go up to 175, so it should be slightly higher for 2003. And then blue, I need to add up 196 on top of that, right? So 175 plus 196. Oh, it's 371. Which is about right here. Then 2004, it's 194 is my starting one. That's almost at 200. And then I need to add another 219 on top of that. Which goes up to 413. So try and do the other ones here by yourself. So this is here is 400, this is 500, 450, 425, about right here. Try and do the other ones yourself here. Pause the video, try it out. I'm going to resume in 3, in 2, in 1. Okay. So now I'm going to go to 2005, 219 to start. So here's 250, here's 225, so a little bit shorter than that. There we go. And then I'm going to add on to 2005. I'm going to add 240 on that. So 240 plus 219 is 459. Right, so this line I know here's 500, so about half of that then. 2006 was, I start with 295, so going all the way up to almost 300 here. And then I need to add on 289 on top of that. And it's fine to use your calculator for this. You don't have to do this in your head. I know the graph needs to go up to at least 584. Right, so that's about there. 2006, or sorry, 2007, sorry, starts at 355. So here's 350, so a little bit higher than that. Sorry, this is 300, so 355, so it goes up about here. And then it's adding on another 333 on top of that. 688. So almost 700 now at this point. So almost up to here. And then 2008 starts at 350. And then it adds up another 378. So that'd be 728. So it'll be about right. Here's 700. Here's 800. Yeah. And then 2008, sorry, 2009 goes up to 330. So this is going to go down a little bit. Here's 300. Here's 400. Yeah, about right there. And then it goes up another 395. 725. Perfect. So it should look something like this. So what's less obvious on the stacked graph, on the stacked one, this is a stacked graph here, than on the double bar one? What's less obvious? Or what's more obvious in this one? Well, clearly the houses here we can see are going up. So, but it's not, that's not as obvious here because this is about comparing the prices of homes side by side. This is about comparing the prices of homes, period. So, what is less obvious on the stacked graph than on the double bar graph? The price of houses is increasing dramatically. Okay. So now for your practice questions here. So what you should be doing are obviously all of your practice questions. I know it's going to take a lot, but it's something you got to do. And then obviously all of your review questions. Some of those will be due for an assignment as well. And one of these assignments specifically is going to be you making a bar graph of some data that you yourself are going to generate. So read it carefully. If you have questions, ask me for some help here. Graphs are hard. If you're struggling a little bit, that's fine. It takes time to be able to do them.